Hey everyone, it's Dan Wardrope here from Flexxable. I'm with Arthur Radtke, one of our students has joined us, I think about 4.5 weeks ago. Arthur, how are you, mate?
Great, thank you. Yourself?
Good. Whereabouts are you then? I know your background kind of tells me you're in Florida or like that, or something like that, but I suspect you're probably not.
No, I'm actually in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is about 30 miles south of Washington, D.C.
Okay, cool. You were trying to get me to figure out my background, but I unfortunately didn't have the technological prowess to figure it out myself, but I'm going to have to work on it for my next interview. Anyway, how's things going?
Fantastic. Well ahead of where I would have expected to be 4.5 weeks into this little experiment of ours.
Awesome. And what's the situation before you joined us? I mean, you're an established agency anyway with a great reputation. How many staff have you got? I mean, give us an overview of the situation in the agency before you joined us.
Okay. Before we joined, we were an agency that was about 1.5 years old.
Yep.
We had 7 people working for us. We were billing around $40,000 a month.
Yep.
And I will say things were not terrible. I mean, the retainer model is exhausting. Okay, but we had great clients who really appreciated overall, not all of them, but overall they appreciated what we did. We had high-end clients. I mean, as an example, we have an association here called the National Association of Home Builders. Yep. We had their remodeler of the year nationally as one of our clients.
Wow.
We had the national president as a client. I mean, we had a really nice book of business and was overall being pretty appreciated, and they were getting a bunch of business through the work we did for them, which was mostly SEO, web design, and general awareness, Facebook type stuff, and email marketing. It was kind of the traditional inbound marketing mix that we were doing.
Okay. What was your the agency's only been going 18 months. What were you doing before then? Just out of interest.
It's funny. We've not talked about this, but
I'm intrigued.
My wife and I owned one of the largest franchises of BNI, Business Network International, in the world. And we were the ones who actually brought in the advanced trainings into BNI and stuff. We at one point we had chapters in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. So we were quite involved. And that's partly of what led me to digital marketing. We had so many great members that did great jobs, but they never quite could get over the hump through referral. Now, I love referrals, and I've gotten a lot of my business through referral.
Yeah.
But it takes a skill set to get, it's like everything. Not everyone's cut out to build their business on referral. And there's also this treadmill effect that, they're out, they're running, they get business, and then they have to do the business, which means they're not doing the stuff they need to do to get referrals. So they finish the business and they have no business. Then they have to run. And it just broke my heart to see people I really cared about. And, we tend to be passionate about our clients.
Yeah.
And I just realized that maybe for 10% of them, they were going to be great at referrals. They're going to be able to build their business to whatever level they wanted through referrals. And that was phenomenal. But there were 90% of the people that were never going to have the business they wanted trying to do it on referrals. So we started off trying to figure out how we could help them bring in business without them having to be the lever that's doing it.
Interesting.
And that's what brought us to digital marketing.
Interesting. I don't know if you know my story, but I actually landed my first pay-per-lead client through BNI.
Right. I knew that. That's why I said it's interesting. I've never told you this, but
yeah.
I love BNI. I know people get frustrated with it. They get upset about going early morning meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you work BNI, it is a highly effective way.
I agree.
Particularly to start a business, because
it's
very low cost.
Yes.
And you build a very big fan base. People who can refer you quickly if you know how to work it. I think it's very much underappreciated.
Yeah.
That being said, it has definite limitations.
Yeah, that's exactly how I found it. It was good for me to start helping some local businesses and plumbers and electricians and people like that. But it's hard to, get some big clients there, really. I imagine it's quite rare, but sometimes you never know. They might know someone that knows someone, and that's what happened with me. And
Yeah.
it was rare, but I got lucky.
Yeah, actually, Dan, I'm going to respectfully disagree. Actually, it's pretty easy to get to big clients through BNI if you really work it. The problem is most people don't work it, and most people don't know how to work it. Just as an example, one of the things that we always taught our members, which was just a gold mine, was stick with what you know. And so, as an example, let's say you and I are working together, in a BNI group. Say we're trying to help each other.
Yeah.
Traditionally in BNI, what will happen is I'll say, I need a plumber, and then you'll think of a plumber that you might know, and you give a referral.
Yeah.
But you're having to figure out if that would be a good referral for me. So one of the things we taught our people is, look, I know what a good referral for me is. It took me years to figure out what a good referral for me was.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to learn what a good referral for me is in a 60-second introduction.
Yeah, that's right.
So what I taught was you sit down with Dan, and Dan tells me his client base. He reads down, I have Joe Smith of ABC Company. Good, tell me. And then I evaluate based on what you're telling me if that would be a good referral for me or not.
Yeah.
It is amazing the quality of referrals you can get when you leave you and your expertise of who you know and me and my expertise of what's a good referral for me.
Yeah. I guess I probably didn't know what I wanted either back when I was starting, which is part of the problem.
Correct.
For a lot of these new businesses coming in. But it's, as you say, it's a great place to start.
Tremendous, yeah.
And relationships, as I say, is as I always say, is one of the most important things. So having a nice network around you is great. Anyway, we're off the beaten track a little bit.
Here we are.
So what's your so the situation, you had an agency, 7 staff, 40K per month turnover type situation. What happened after you joined? What industry did you decide to go in, and what's your journey been like since then? It's only 4.5 weeks, so it's very early, but I'm intrigued to what you're up to.
Okay, so first of all, we were not particularly looking for a new opportunity because I said things were going pretty well. I mean, we were pleased. But then a little thing, I don't know if you have it over there in the UK, but we had this little thing called COVID-19.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and although we've only lost one client, which is, I think, remarkable.
Yeah.
We did have clients who came back and said, hey, look, we're going to have to take our retainer from 3,000 down to 1,500 and stuff like that. So we lost revenue. But what we really lost was everyone we were discussing about becoming a client just stopped.
Mm.
And so we tend to believe that small business is not for the timid. I mean, just a basic belief. And so I remember I pulled the staff together and said, look, here's the choice. Our clients are holding, so we can just stay where we are, but we're not going to grow.
Yeah.
Or we can learn something new.
Yeah.
And so we all voted to learn something new. So we went out and looked at a couple of opportunities, and yours, in our opinion, gave us the best opportunity to keep growing during the slow times.
Yeah.
And so we sent you some money and joined it. Now, I think one of the things that we do that's unique, at least I like to think it's unique, is that we believe in being all in, that nothing gets done by trying something.
Yeah.
That you have to throw yourself into it. And so we set ridiculously high goals. We wanted to have earned the money that we paid you back in less than 30 days.
Yep.
Okay. Did we have to? No, we didn't have to. But we find by setting high goals, and something my father taught me, you swing through it. The thing you don't just try to do it. I mean, you swing through it. So we decided that, and we wanted to be. And please, I know that you just shared with us how long it took Canada to get to 100,000 a month. Yep. But our goal was to be at 100,000 a month in 90 days.
Yeah.
Now, what if we fall short, Dan? What if we only are doing 75,000? We probably can live with that, right?
It's bad. Yeah.
Right. But that tends to be the way we approached it. So we had your whole course done in the first week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we had a team, and so like I did the section about how to bring in clients.
Yeah.
Chattery, who you've met, did how to do Facebook ads and stuff. We kind of divvied it up.
Yeah.
into, you know, our web design guy had attacked the setting up the lead gen website.
Yep.
And stuff. But we had it done in the first week.
Amazing.
And I say done, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Done where we could bring in a client and start producing for them.
Yeah, that's impressive. I've been impressed with your team about how efficient they are and how solution orientated they are as well, rather than worrying about the problem or saying you can't do this. They always find a way around it. So that's impressive.
Yeah, they're good. I like working with them. I'm very fortunate. And they work, you know, right. Usually we work pretty sane hours, but in this project we had big goals. You know, we've been all weekend, you know, chatting back and forth, following what the leads are doing, making adjustments.
Yeah.
I mean, we're serious.
That's great. Okay, cool. And you mentioned the business had kind of slowed down. You lost a bit of revenue, but then you repositioned and pivoted your agency to the pay-per-lead model. And how did that go when you started talking to clients? And what was the feedback?
Well, this is interesting, and I'm glad you asked that question, because let's just take the first client I signed up for. This is ironic. The first client I ever signed up for the retainer, and the first client I ever set up for the pay-per-lead. It's the same guy. Okay. Had a great relationship with him. We've been doing a good job. He was doing very, very well. He's a very aggressive person, ideal for a marketing agency. I mean, his thing is how fast can I grow? He did just under 2 million in his first year in business.
Yep.
Pretty good. And he's on track to do 5 million this year. So after that first week was kind of, actually just towards the end of the first week, when it was obvious we were going to be set up and ready to go, I called him up and said, hey, Nick, I've got an opportunity for you. I want to talk to you about it. I want to explain it, but you have to understand this has nothing to do with the retainer model. This is a totally different opportunity. It doesn't replace the retainer model. It is a different thing. And he said, okay, hit me with it.
Yeah.
So I described it to him, and he said, okay, let's give it a try. So that's how we went forward. Now, the first week, I think we got him maybe 15 leads. And I think we booked 2 appointments from those 15 leads. But there was a level of trust, and we negotiated the price, which I don't know if you'd ever recommend, but we had a strong enough relationship. We said, hey, look, Nick, he understood it had to work for me, and I understood it had to work for him. So we'd kind of get together Monday mornings and look at last week's leads, last week's results, and what was a fair price to do it. And we never had a disagreement. Okay, which is probably not the way you'd normally recommend to do it, but in this case, it definitely worked.
No. That often happens with clients. You'll kind of agree a cost per lead, and then it's too expensive for us or it's too expensive for them. And you go back and you say, listen, is this going to work? Because it's not for us, or vice versa. And eventually you'll come to a middle ground, and that just comes with time and experience. Yeah.
Right. So we kept working out. Each week we'd do a few more leads and we'd keep increasing it. So last week, and for anyone who's considering doing pay per lead, okay, this to me is the thing that convinced me 100%. As a retainer client, he pays me $3,000 a month.
Yep.
And he's happy about it, but he's always checking to see what we're doing for that 3,000. He always wants to know what blog posts did we do, what SEO we did. There's always an element of, are you really doing work?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just billed him yesterday for 1 week more than what he pays monthly. And there was no question about what we did. He didn't care what we did.
Yeah.
He just didn't care. I mean, if I was out back, you know, drinking all day, he didn't care because he had his leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a huge difference. Now, as I say, this is a happy client in either case. But one, he's checking on everything we do, not in a malicious way, not even in a distrusting way. Just
as a good businessman way.
Yeah, but with this model, it was like, okay, 3,100, which is what the bill was for last week. 3,100, okay, boom, charge my card. You know, I mean, it was like no question. What did you do to get that done and stuff? I mean, so you figure he's now paying us a week what he was paying us a month. He was paying that a month and questioning what we were doing. And now he's paying it with no questions.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, he literally ended the conversation with, you know what, my basic problem as a businessman right now is I'm just not paying you enough. Can we make this 8,000 next week? Can you think we could, you know? So he's now upped it to where he'll take 100 leads a week.
Nice.
Now we have to be able to supply those, and our problem with Facebook and stuff. We'll see if we can do that, but we'll get there. I mean, I just don't know if we can do it this next week with
yeah. And how much business has he generated from the pay-per lead?
Okay, in the last in the last 30 days, he has so far had 7 sales and about $84,000 in retail. But there are 5 other leads that came in during that period, which he has not finished yet. One of them is for an $80,000 roof.
Wow.
Okay. There's a big estate in DC. He's dealing with the estate manager. If he gets the job, the lawyer will write the check, and they can't give him the name of the owner because he's too high profile.
Wow. Okay.
It's just kind of fun.
That's unusual. Yeah.
So they have a perfectly good roof. So why are they getting a new $80,000 roof, Dan? Why do you think they're getting a new 80? Wife doesn't like the color.
The color. Is that it? Oh my goodness.
It's nice,
Yeah, that's a good client to have. All right. So, and how much do you think do you track how much he generated from the retainer work?
Yes. Now understand, we've been doing the retainer work for 2 years. So it's $3,000 a month for 2 years. So, but he actually did right around 100,000 in the last 30 days from the organic. So he did about 200,000 just from the organic and then the pay-per-click too. But he'll do more from the pay-per-click when the other 5 either close or not. I mean, some of them will close, which will put him up over 100,000.
Yeah, wow, that's great. Okay. That's great. He must be like you guys at the moment.
Yeah, he is. But he's always been I don't want to say that he has not been appreciative, because he always has been appreciative.
Yeah.
He's just a little more careful on the retainer side, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What margins do roofers make? Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned roofers. We can cut that out if you want to.
I had said he was a roofer earlier.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what kind of margins do they make? Do you know?
Yeah. First of all, he has 2 basic sides of the business. One is the insurance side.
Okay.
Meaning there's damage to the roof, and the insurance is going to pay for the new roof.
Yeah.
And the other side is what we call the retail side, which is the person just wants a new roof. It's getting old. He's getting tired of having to maintain it or whatever it is. They just decide it's time for a new roof.
Yeah.
The insurance is that's about 25%.
Okay.
Is what he gets in that. The retainer is the retail is just a little bit higher. That's between 30 and 35%.
Okay. Interesting stuff. All right. Cool.
Yeah, so he's doing well.
Good. And all right. So you mentioned before that your team's been through the course, and you've kind of done the sales bit. Your web dev's done the funnels and built the brand. That's another question actually. Are you going to be able to service multiple clients from your brand? Is that the plan, or are you doing all stuff on a one-to-one basis? Okay.
No, I'm a control freak, Dan. I want to own it. Okay. I got the retainer side, which we're more than happy to do. We'll do the retainer side and help you develop stuff if you want. But when it's the pay per lead, I'm putting up the money. I'm putting up the initial effort.
Yeah.
I want to own the results of that. And so we went the lead gen website, so it's More Prospects Now is the name of my company. Lead gen is Beautiful Home Solutions.
Okay.
That's the name we picked. And it is a lead gen name. It's doing business as, it's not a separate company. But we definitely do it that, and our goal is, and we're already in the process, is to do all the home contractors, do the exterior, but also interior, HVAC, landscaping, solar. Our real master plan of taking over the world is what we figured is, if we could set up by metropolitan areas, if we could be getting leads for 6 or 7 big industries in the home thing.
Yeah.
Let's just say we have 6 different areas we're getting 100 leads a week for.
Yeah.
That's 6,000 emails a week we're getting. That's 6,000 times 50 weeks.
Yeah.
That's 300,000 emails. I mean,
That's
a
got
year
value.
from now,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That's got value.
Yeah, a year from now, we'll be able to produce a ton of business just to our email lists.
Yeah, exactly.
And the price of those are much nicer than the price for Facebook leads.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And I never shut myself down.
Yeah. Exactly. True. Yeah,
Yeah.
that has been a frustration for you guys. We don't really have to go into the gory details, but you know, it's the same with. I don't think it's not just pay-per-leaders that are struggling with this Facebook switching stuff off and on, and bots, and the COVID. You know, the COVID thing has meant that they've got less resource to look at their accounts, and it has been a bit of a nightmare with a lot of people in the Facebook landscape. But that's also why we, you know, teach YouTube ads. You guys have got an SEO team, right? So
right.
This beautiful home solutions brand, when you start having the time, you should start putting some content together and start building out the organic presence of this website too, because not many people do this, really.
Yeah, we're already in the process because we're using that also in our email campaigns.
Yeah.
The product, the stuff we're producing for the SEO.
Nice.
I will just say though, Dan, and maybe this is just my philosophy, the fact that it's been a pain is like, it is business. I mean, it's okay that you have to work. It's the result. I mean, just think about this though. So I put up with this pain for a month, and I now have a client paying me 4 times what he was paying me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally 4 times. Well, no, it's not that. Wait a second. He's just upped it to 100 leads. That's,
yeah.
By the way, we did move him down to $80 to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's 8,000 a week.
Yeah.
That's 32,000. That's 10 times. He's paying us 10 times what he was paying us as a retainer client.
Yeah.
And not questioning anything we do.
Yeah. It's much simpler.
Yeah, which another thing, you know, I and this could just be my problem, and if it is, I apologize. But one of the things that really annoyed me is to have retainer clients that would second guess what you were doing. They knew nothing about marketing. But they'd get in debates with you about how their website looks. It was like, no, we have it looking this way because we know it converts more. Well, I like the look of it. You know, it's like, so we wanted, one of the reasons we wanted a lead gen brand.
Yeah.
Was we don't need to check with anybody. If I was running it for him, I'd still have to, which is part of the reason why he doesn't ask. It's no longer any of his business, to be blunt.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be obnoxious, but you know, it's my lead gen page. How it looks is my business.
Yeah.
Is my Facebook campaigns, how they look is my business.
Yeah.
All he cares about is he getting the leads, and are they setting appointments, and are they converting? That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly
he's now
right.
paying me 10 times what he was paying me as a retainer client.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what are your funnels look like? Are they are you going ad to quiz? You're trying Facebook lead ads. You've got plans to move over to YouTube pre-roll ads as well coming up. What's going on at the moment?
Correct. We started off again. This goes back to some of the basic philosophy that we have. When we hire an expert, and that was you. When we hired you, I always find it amusing. People hire an expert and then decide what the expert doesn't know, what they know more of than the expert. Okay. So we've done it exactly like, as close as possible, as close as we could understand to what you recommended. So the very first thing we ran was Facebook lead ads.
Yeah.
Which you said in the training are horrible leads, but they're the easiest ones to set up and kind of get used to the platform and get going on. So that's what we did. That was the very first thing we did. Then the second thing we did, once we had those running, and those are pretty simple to do, and do get pretty quick results.
Yeah.
As they're not the best. But we then put in Facebook leads with a qualifying question, like asking the street address and stuff. So that just, it almost mini quiz funnel maybe that, you know, it is being done within that thing. And then we moved to a quiz funnel, which is, and we're using lead hook and, you know, and high level to do that.
Yeah.
which is definitely up the value, but it's up the price that we're paying per lead. But the quality of the leads have increased. And now that we have that quiz funnel, now we'll go out and try like YouTube, because we can lead that to the same quiz funnel.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's been a progression exactly as you describe in the course. That's what I love about your course. My people have stopped asking me what we do next, because every time they say, okay, Art, what do we do next? I go, I don't know. Let's go look. We just go right back to your course, you know, and I'm sure a year down the road, we'll get pretty competent at this, and we'll want to experiment. We'll want to try some things ourselves, but it'll be from a position of knowledge rather than a position of ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad things are working. What else? So what are the best bits? I mean, you've touched on a few benefits of our program at the moment, but what have you particularly enjoyed? And what do you think is, you know, that we've given you that you didn't expect or could have,
Okay. So the thing I enjoy the most about the pay per lead model is that we can do what we feel needs to be done without getting approval from clients and stuff. We don't, there's always that, even if they're a great client that agree to whatever you say, you still have to run it by them, explain it to them, and you have to wait. We're not good at waiting. You know, we're not a very patient group of people. And so I think that's what I've enjoyed the most. Now the money I'm starting to enjoy now. Now, you know, that's just now that, you know, with what we ran with Nick this week. I mean, that's just tremendous. But I'll say we haven't made much because we had some startup costs, like your cost, like high level, setting it up, you know, there's some, but we love that we can just run as fast as we can. The thing though about Flexxable that has blown us away is that we've bought other courses, some good, some not, you know how that goes. But it was always up to us to figure them out. All right. I have never seen an organization that is willing to pitch in and run alongside you as Flexxable has. You know, not only do you have the private Facebook group, which we use, I don't know if you noticed, but we're in that every single day, both asking and answering.
We try to helping people as well. Yeah.
Right. We try to do both, you know, try not to be a drain on the system, but we, you know, that has been tremendous. And not only do people in it answer, but you answer, your staff answers. I mean, they're in that group actively. Sometimes you specifically ask one of your staff to, hey, can you answer this question? That is tremendous. But even better than that is you have 2 calls a week that, you know, I'll be honest, you know, maybe I'm a little cynical. You know, I've been involved in calls before where people give you good information, but it's not information for me. It's general information that I then have to take and figure out how to apply. In your calls, literally, we call up and we talk to you one-on-one. Everyone else is listening, so they're gaining from the knowledge too. But you're dealing with Art Radtke's problems with me live, right in position. We wouldn't be half as far along as we are if it wasn't for that. Now, one of those calls, okay, there's not a complaint, just a statement of reality. Because you're dealing with people around the world, you have to do them at different times. One of those calls at 1 a.m. in the morning for me. And I've made the last 4 calls at 1 a.m. in the morning. I'm an early to bed guy. I'm usually in bed by 9:30, okay? My wife kids me about, you know, Monday, okay, so you're staying up tonight. It's like, yeah. She goes, well, don't party. I'll see you later. But they're invaluable that you get right on the call. And I specifically say, okay, Dan, this is my problem. And you go, okay. And we deal with it. I love that. Absolutely love it. I've never had this at this level before in any program I've ever gotten involved in.
I think, I mean, blowing our own horn a little bit, but you've got to remember that we're actually in the trenches running our own pay-per-lead agency and having the same problems and solving the same problems that you are. And we probably did them 6 months, a year ago. And so I've learned a lot running my own kind of agency. So I'm able to take what I'm learning there and help you very specifically and very quickly with most of the questions that you have, because we've been there and done that before. So, you're obviously going to reach the point in time where you know way more about the roofing industry than we do, and you'll be off to the races then, and you'll be the expert, and you probably won't need us as much. But I think with negotiations about kind of price, how to bring your cost per lead down, how to get the quality up, this is all stuff that I can help with specifically very quickly. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Oh, I mean, it's a game changer. I mean, we went into COVID-19 doing okay. We're now double the size that we were going into it. Okay. Wow. We literally, double the size. Our profitability is through the roof because although this is hard work, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I mean, I have found it to be very hard work. It is not as time consuming, and you're not, I haven't had to have people writing, 5 blog posts a week. I haven't had to have, people going and doing local citation listings and stuff. I mean, doing regular digital marketing is a grind. This is hard, and I'm not suggesting it's not. And let's face it, probably should be happy that it's hard, because if it wasn't hard, then everybody would just do it, and none of us could get paid for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting it's not hard, but it isn't as much of a time sink as other things we do in digital marketing. At least that's how I experience it. Would you have the same view?
Yeah, well, we really have one job and one job to do only, really, and that's to generate leads. And yes, right. There's lots of elements to that. There's the ads, there's the funnel, there's the distribution, there's the follow-up, there's the client relationships, but it's much narrower, right? It's not like, as you say, you have to go and do blog posts over here and citations and all that stuff that we used to do. And I'm just like, no, it's just a simple business model. And there's less chance of being distracted by shiny objects as well, and trying new stuff or whatever, which is a big thing, because that's always damaging for someone like me who looks for opportunity all the time and gets excited. Well, so I sense you're a bit like that as well, Art. So it's just having one job to do.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, bring in clients, give clients what they want. I have to tell you, the idea of doing a paid agency was born last year. When I was, my son, who's 34, has a 33-foot sailboat, and we go up and down the New England coast every summer together.
Yeah.
And we were talking about business. He has his own business. We have ours, obviously. He was talking about my business, and he said, well, why isn't it growing faster? And I said, well, people have to gain confidence, and, they have to really begin to believe that you can help them, and, they have to understand everything and stuff. And he said, well, what other options are there? And I said, well, there's a pay-per-lead model, which we don't do. And he said, well, what's good about that? I said, well, ultimately, people really don't care about the process. All they want is the lead. And so if you can give them the lead, that's it. He said, so I want to get this straight. You're telling me your business is not growing as fast as you'd like it because you refuse to give people what they want.
He sounds like a smart kid.
Yeah, he is. I was like, well, I hadn't quite thought of it that way, but yeah, I guess so. And so that's where we started looking at the pay-per-lead model, was when he obnoxiously pointed out that we were just simply refusing to give people what they ultimately wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a strong takeaway. This is ultimately what people want.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, they might want to own it themselves. They might, how that looks might change. But the bottom line is, even when they get me as a retainer client, really all they want is the leads. That's really all they want. Yeah. And I was complicating it for them. Yeah. I was good at it.
Yeah.
At complicating it. Okay. And so, so that is, I guess maybe, I think that's maybe ultimately my biggest takeaway on this whole thing. That the reason Nick studies at what I do as the retainer client and doesn't study what I do, even though he's paying me 10 times as much on the pay-per-lead, is on the pay-per-lead, I'm making it simpler for him. I'm just giving him what he wants rather than make him jump through hoops.
Yeah. Do you think he really wants
through hoops?
you think he really wants to check all your blog posts and spend 3 hours a month doing all of that? I can't think anything worse as a business owner. So
I hate doing it. It's my business.
Yeah.
He's got to hate it even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So just give people what they want.
Yep. Wise words, Art. So I have to say, it's been a pleasure speaking to you today. One thing for those of you that are listening to this and, you know, considering getting into paper lead, I think we've learned a lot from you today. You know, first of all, it's not easy, right? And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and then you couldn't get paid for it. And the second thing is the way that you guys have attacked this and thrown yourself, head and shoulders into this whole process has been refreshing. And it's always the people that do that, start doing sales straight away, start having conversations and building those relationships are the ones that really have success in my community. And you're probably one of the most coachable students we have, Art, and it's a pleasure to have you. So thanks very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And for everyone listening, I'll just say, I hope you join us. And if you do, make use of the private Facebook group. We'll definitely interact there. As I try to be there. I check it. I don't know if you've noticed this now, but I check it almost every hour.
Do you?
Yeah, just because, there's a point where you just need to lift your head up from what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of nice to go and get inspired by what other people are doing. And if you can help some of those other people, there's no better feeling than that. So
yeah, it's great. It's great. All right, mate. Well, it's a pleasure speaking. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us, and best luck in the future. And I'll see you over on the call maybe in a couple of hours.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Talk to you at 12 and see you next Monday.
See you, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.